Welcome back to the channel. Today is a new Fujifilm announcement day, so we're going to talk about it. And I don't have my X-T30 anymore or my X-T50, so I'm using my XM5 and you'll know why in a second. So I will say that, again, I understand that Fuji creates cameras with different people in mind, and this one in particular I think is just the beginner market, the people who just want a beginner camera, who can't afford higher cameras. I will also say, if this camera is still out of your budget, find something on the used market. Go for something less expensive. It's more about the person than it is about the gear. Now, I particularly just love gear and I love cameras, but that doesn't mean that I couldn't choose or create great photos with something that cost a lot less. So, the new X-T30, and I'm going to say Mark III, because that's easier than X-T33, is basically the X-T30 Mark II with a couple new features, but essentially more than anything, it is basically the XM5 with a viewfinder and flash. I don't think there's any other differences. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm 99% sure it is the XM5 with a viewfinder and a flash, which, to be fair, there were a lot of people when the XM5 came out that complained that there wasn't a viewfinder and wasn't a flash, because people love on-camera flash, right, or the like built-in camera flashes right now, which I hate. Like all my videos and TikTok, people are asking, how is the flash? Is there a flash? And I'm like, I don't use it. I hate flash. So I will use it when I absolutely have to, but that's very rarely, and I'd rather just not take a picture than use flash. So for me, that's not something that matters. So this is where a lot of it is personal preference, which I've talked about before. You know, a lot of Fuji's cameras, the Xe5, the X-T50, X106, a lot of them are very similar. There's some major differences in the camera design, but how the photo quality comes out is gonna look exactly the same. So like, a lot of people ask me when I got my Xe5, why do you want that when you already have the X106? And at the time I still had the X-T50. Well, the X106, that's my everyday camera. It's weather sealed. It's got some other features. But with the Xe5, I didn't get the kit lens because I didn't need it, because yeah, then that would have been exactly like my X106. I wanted it to use with other lenses and to have a camera where the screen flips up, which I've explained. Whereas the X-T50 doesn't have a screen that flips up. I don't care about flash. At the time I already had it, but we have since sold it. So I have my XM5 now, which I have kept because normally this is what I film my YouTube videos on, but since I wanted to use it today, we're filming on my Sony ZV-1. Now, between the X-T30 Mark II and the X-T30 Mark III, basically there's new like internal bits with like I think it's the processor, because it's the same 26 megapixel sensor. So you didn't get the upgraded megapixels. You didn't get the IBIS that the X-T50 has. I'm gonna say I was shocked when they announced the X-T30 or 3. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna mess this up the whole time. Because I had convinced myself there's no way that was what they're announcing, since they already have an X-T50, which is the successor. It didn't make sense. I was absolutely convinced it was gonna be an X-T6 or an XS20 successor or something like that. I don't know. I was wrong. I'm really hoping for the X80. That's what I want. But basically the difference between these two, I think a lot of it is there was demand for the X-T30 Mark II, and I think they discontinued them now. The problem is, like, basically what they did is put very little new in this to then now charge more for this. I don't know. I don't get it. I think if I had to choose between the X-T30 Mark III or the XM5, personally, I would go with the XM5. I think it's still cheaper, I believe. And it's more compact. For me, that would make more sense, personally. Now, I already have other cameras that have viewfinders, have things like that. It doesn't, you know, I can use whatever I want, but I know plenty of people who make amazing images on this without a viewfinder, without flash. If you have the budget to go for it, the X-T50 is a much better camera in all areas. Now, just like the XM5, the X-T30 Mark III does have digital image stabilization. So not true image stabilization, but digital, which I found to be kind of meh on here. Now, this is my older, this is the kit lens from my X-T30 Mark II, which I also don't have anymore. So this is the 18-55 f2.8. This kit lens is amazing. It's phenomenal. I love it. I still use it all the time. And it has IBIS built into it, which is why I use it on my XM5. Now, the lens that is going to come with the X-T30 Mark III does also have its OIS stabilized, so you will have that. I do like that they made a wider lens, because one of the videos that I watched that I think was a phenomenal video to market that camera was a couple, it's on the Fuji X series YouTube, and it was a couple that were creating together, And some of the stuff that they were doing, like she was filming like over the table, getting some shots of like food at a restaurant that they were helping create images for. So it was an ultra wide lens for that. Or when they would at a group event, turn it around and get some selfies, you know. So there are use cases for that wider lens. Now it is not a lens that I personally will want, because anything that goes higher than f2.8 to start is not a lens I want. That's just me. And I'm very happy with this kit lens. And for me, 18 is wide enough. It's still very wide to me personally. So I'm fine with that. I do think that was a nice decision, because a lot of times if it's meant to be a travel camera, when you're traveling, you want as much of the scene as you can get. I used to travel with much narrower lenses. I remember when I went to England and I took my Olympus OMD M10 Mark II, and I took it with the kit lens. And I actually took a couple of my portrait lenses, which I love so much more, and I used the kit lens most of the time because it got more of the structures and shots in. It either had to be that or my phone, because my other portrait lenses weren't wide enough. Now that I have 18s for my Fuji, I think I'd be okay, but I do think that that's nice for things like travel where you're trying to get a lot more in. And that's just the lens specifically. I don't know if they're gonna sell that separately or not. It's a kit lens, so I kind of doubt it. But I do think that was an interesting choice for a travel photography camera, and I think that's kind of what the X-T30 Mark III is labeled as. So I can see where they're coming from, trying to make another beginner model with a little bit of updated autofocus. The new film simulations are in there, so people that wanted like Reality Ace, Nostalgic Neg, those are in there. But again, those are all in the XM5. So if you really want the viewfinder and the flash, then yes, that would be better. But otherwise, they are almost the same camera. This is just much smaller, has an articulating screen, which I prefer, but that's also just me. I don't have a whole lot of other thoughts on it. Really, it was just, I think, an interesting release. That's not where I saw this going. So I don't know. It's definitely not, I mean, you know, if nothing else, it's helping me save money because I'm not gonna buy it. So there's that. It's not made for me, and that's fine. But for people who are looking for something new, beginner camera, want the X-T30 Mark II and maybe haven't been able to get it because it's been discontinued or marked up, then this is their chance, and that's what it is. But I really wish Fuji would also focus on creating the cameras that we all want now. I know a lot of people want an X Pro 4. I'm not positive if I do or not, because I have an X Pro 3 and I feel like now that I have the XE5, that's my main camera that I use. X-T5 stays for when we do our professional work mostly. If I need weather sealing, I'll pull out the X-T5. I don't necessarily need the X Pro 3. I will say that screen drives me insane on the X Pro 3 now. So I don't know that I would upgrade that, but it's still such a cool camera that I won't sell it. And then my personal need, I would love an X70 successor, whether that be an X80, X70 Mark II, I don't know. Keep, like I've seen people say it, like keep the body exactly the same. It needs to be the exact same body and like lens type. Just make it like maybe an updated lens, updated sensor processor, whatever. It doesn't need to have IBIS. If they can, great, but keeping the body the same. Same with like if it can have a pop-up EVF, but keep the body the same. I don't know if that's an option. I just want that. I carry my X70 all the time still because I just love that little camera so much, and I can take it everywhere. But the X70 is also not a camera I would use for travel because of how slow and old it is. So on that sense, like, yeah, having the XM5, having the X-T30, one of the models, something like that is going to be better for travel while still having like a smaller and cheaper camera. I still think the XM5 is the better value of the two, to be honest, in my opinion. Just, I don't know. I think, like, again, I don't know the prices, but I think the XM5 is cheaper, so. And I know people are saying like, oh, it might be the grip. Well, I added a thumb grip on this, and this has been amazing ever since I added the thumb grip, so. And you can add body grips if you want to, but like, I think even just this little thumb grip has made a world of difference, and I've never taken it off because it makes the camera feel like exactly what I need. So I also have tiny hands, so that could also just be a me thing. But anyway, that's my thoughts on the new Fujifilm X-T30 Mark III. Let me know what you think. I know there are a lot of thoughts about this, and I'm trying to be very positive about mine, but it just seemed like kind of an odd drop, so I don't know.